your background scenario is really great.
Oh,
So
thank you.
nice.
This is what I call the fan cave. Everything, and it's a big, big wall. Everything on the wall is a gift from the fans or dear friends. So all these, I mean, lots of stuff here. I'll just
Wow.
fan gifts from fans, and it's all over the room. This is my studio, and this is where I feel comfortable, surrounded by gifts from the fans. It's awesome.
Oh,
It's so pretty.
Thank you.
So we are here today with Ron Keel. That it's amazing to have him with us today, and along with Leandro. So during the last years, it seems that you are more artistically active than ever. What is the most exciting project to you?
I am just driven to create music, tell stories, travel the world, and entertain people. I have always been extremely busy, but as I get a little older, I feel the pressure even more to do as much as I can while I still have my voice and my health and the drive and the energy. I want to do as much as I can. So yes, I've been very busy for many years now, and that's not going to stop anytime soon because we are traveling all over the world for the next 15 months. And I'm so excited that we're going to be able to visit Sao Paulo, Brazil for the first time ever.
So although Keel hasn't released anything in a while, the Ron Keel band has already released three studio albums in 5 years. Many elements of your style from the 80s are very clearly. What is the choice to just leave your old band aside, or do you really think there are differences in the both works?
The band Keel, which a lot
Mhm.
of fans know from the 80s and the hits that we had with The Right to Rock, Because the Night, Tears of Fire, Somebody's Waiting, Rock and Roll Outlaw. That band is a brotherhood and a family. And if it weren't for my love of those men, Mark Ferrari, Brian Jay, Dwayne Miller, the members of Keel, I would call my band Keel. That's the only reason I have not toured or performed under that name because of out of respect and friendship to those brothers. So Ron Keel Band still has the word Keel in the name of the band. So you're still going to hear all of the Keel songs in our show and on record. Very proud of the new versions of the Keel classics that Ron Keel Band recorded. There is a new Keel song, by the way. We just finished recording a brand new song together. It's called Moving Target, and it kicks ass. It's going to be on my next album, Keel World. And this new album features music from all of my bands and projects from Keel, Steeler, Ron Keel Band, Ronnie Lee Keel, The Metal Cowboy, and more. There's even a Black Sabbath song on there.
Whoa,
my God.
so much spoilers. We love to see it.
Thank you.
With a more than 40-year-old career, how do you continue to have the same vocal quality as before? Is there any trick behind?
There are several tricks. First of all, I think I am blessed with good genetics and good health. It's very important. But also, I practice a lot. I sing all the time, 2 hours a day. I am working on my voice, practicing, preparing for shows, preparing for recording sessions, always keeping the machine warmed up, so to speak. Also, I believe that a lot of it is mental and a lot of it is spiritual from the heart. The voice has to come from the heart. Uh, you have to want to sound good. You have to. If I, I really believe that it's emotional, spiritual, mental. A lot of it is physical as well. So the physical part of the training that I had, the proper warm up exercises. Uh, there's a lot that goes into the voice. There's every aspect of your entire being, whether it's your brain, your heart, your soul, your body. It all comes together when you sing. So that is my trick, is to never stop. And as long as I continue to keep working at it and practicing at it, I had some great training back in the day in the early 80s with a lady called Sabine. And Sabine, she was a very, very tiny little small lady, Australian lady, very small. And she could hit and hold these piercing high screams and high notes. And she taught many of us in the 80s in Hollywood. She was Axl Rose, his vocal coach, Michael Sweet from Stryper, Jizzy Pearl from Love Hate, who's now with Quiet Riot, and several more like myself. And I don't think it's a secret that most of Sabine's vocal students are still belting it out with quality at our age. I think her training had a lot to do with it.
That is a very interesting thing that nobody actually talks about. Like the only singer I saw talking about his vocal teacher was Sebastian Bach in his autobiography, right?
Ron, do you still teach classes when vocal classes or not?
I have vocal training workshops on my Patreon page for subscribers at patreon.com/Ron Keel. We do vocal workshops, songwriting workshops, behind the music. So I share all of any of those secrets or tricks or just knowledge and experience with the fans who subscribe at patreon.com/Ron Keel.
Yeah. We're gonna link the Patreon in the video.
Thank you.
And what are your main references to start singing, producing?
You know, I think we're all influenced by, at an early age, the things that we love. And mine is a combination of the energy and power of some of my early rock favorites like Rob Halford from Judas Priest, Paul Stanley, David Lee Roth, the singers that I emulated, Brian Johnson and Bon Scott, both of the AC/DC singers, huge influences on me. In fact, and you know, Bon Scott, recently we celebrated his birthday, I think yesterday as we record this. Bon Scott was a huge influence on me, not only as a storyteller, but as a frontman, as a singer. He wasn't fancy. He wasn't so vocally melodic. A lot of times he would just stick to that one note melody. And I fell into that. Maybe it's a good habit, maybe it's a bad habit, but a lot of my melodies are simple and very, very much inspired by Bon Scott. In fact, there's a new Steelers song on the Keel World album. We have a new Steelers song for the first time in 40 years. And this song, it sounds like if Bon Scott was singing with Judas Priest. That's what to me, that's what it sounds like. So that's kind of what I was going for. So I'm really excited about the new Steelers song, Give Me Guitars or Give Me Death, on the upcoming album.
I imagine how difficult it was to sing in your range and your style until the 80s. But now it's really difficult to us to keep the voice in shape like you did. It was still awesome. It's still the same.
Thank you. Well, I have lost a couple of notches off I used to be able to do those really crazy, stupid, high, screaming, piercing notes.
Yeah.
At least luckily I can still sing the hits like The Right to Rock and Somebody's Waiting and Rock and Roll Outlaw. But there are a few songs like No Pain, No Gain. You know, maybe you don't know that one off the Final Frontier album. That is no longer part of my vocabulary. But what I lost, I think I'm more than compensated for with control, tone, consistency, the ability to do it again every night and get better every night. You know, I feel like my voice gets better the more I use it. When we're on tour, Keel did a European tour of, it was 2011. And we did 5 nights in a row in 5 countries. We're in a different country every day. And every night my voice felt better. It got stronger. And I'm the same way with the guys in my band. And the same reason I rehearse 2 hours a day here in my studio. Right behind the camera, there's a stage built into my home studio where I can actually get on stage, turn the lights on, turn the PA system on, and do the show. Not just singing, but literally performing the show with the moves. And in my mind's eye, when I look out here into the room, I see all of my friends that have passed, you know, all the people that are no longer with us, my friends and family. And it's really strange how when I'm here by myself in a rehearsal and nobody's watching, I feel like they're all watching me and I sing for them.
We all know about your entire career in the 80s with Keel, but what we don't hear much is about Gene Simmons in the production process of the 2 biggest albums. How was your relationship with Gene, and how did he become interested in the band?
Well, the relationship was a true blessing for me in so many ways, and we'll get to that. But how we met was when we get our big record deal, right? And we're signed to a major label, and the president of the record company presents me with a piece of paper with a bunch of names on the list. And man, it was everybody, all the big producers, Tom Werman and Max Norman and Michael Wagner and all the big hot producers of the 80s. And Gene Simmons' name was on the list. And I kind of just, that's the only name I saw. I said, Gene Simmons, hook it up, make it happen. Because I felt like this was nothing to do with business, although it turned out to be a brilliant business move. It was because Gene was my hero. He was my idol. He was a rock star, a singer, a songwriter, a musician, as opposed to somebody just sitting behind a mixing board, twisting the knobs. And he was what I wanted to be, a rock star. And they hooked up a meeting between the two of us and arranged for us to get together. And I sang him The Right to Rock in his hotel room. And with a little cassette player, we had the music on cassette tape, and I pushed play. There was no vocal on the cassette, just the music. And I played the cassette, and I started singing, The Right to Rock! And I started singing to Gene, and he just hit stop. Stop the player. He said, I'm going to produce this album. Ooh. And that was it. And I was like, and then he really took us under his wing. He came to rehearsals. We worked every day together in the studio, side by side. And if you can imagine, my very first concert was Kiss. I was 16 years old, fighting my way to the front row for my very first concert to see Kiss on the Destroyer tour. And I fought my way to the front. I caught Gene's guitar pick that night because I'm tall. I reached up and he's throwing picks out. I caught his pick. And I got his blood all over me. I got a piece of Paul Stanley's guitar when he smashed it. And then I could not have imagined at that moment that just 7 years later, we'd be sitting side by side in the studio creating the Right to Rock album together. And so he taught me so much about making records, producing, how every little detail, how the bass guitar works with the bass drum, how the do, everything, the strokes of the bass player's right hand have to match that bass drum pedal. And he would sit and watch the bass player's hands and the bass drum and make sure that they were tight. And little things like that. How to do so much recording great records. And he's still on my shoulder. Whenever I do a recording session now, a little piece of Gene is always there with me. Of course, I could not have imagined the business impact of that relationship. I didn't really realize that. I just thought everybody's going to buy our record anyway, right? Because we're Keel, everybody's going to buy it anyway. But no, they bought it. A lot of Kiss fans bought it because Gene produced it, because Gene's name, his endorsement, his support. So all the Kiss fans, the minute the record came out, all the Kiss fans bought it and made it a huge success. So I owe so much to Gene, not only from experience and knowledge and business, merchandising. That's why you see all these merchandise items in the store at ronkeel.com. We've got, we even have a lunchbox. So he taught me so much about the business, about real life. It was such a great friend, and still very, very happy to be a very small part of that Kiss family. I ended up being able to jam with and play on stage with Gene. Paul Stanley joined my band. This is almost 10 years ago now, when Paul Stanley came to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where I live, and joined my band for 4 songs. We got Paul on stage, and he let me do the duet with him on Rock and Roll All Night. I played with Bruce Kulick. I did a duet with a back row vocal with Peter Criss on the Black and Blue record in Heat. So I've been able to just a very small thread in that huge tapestry that is the Kiss family. I'm very proud to be a part of that.
The Kiss story.
Yeah. I imagine how the Kiss was blessed, because the Gene in other projects, other bands that he produced, he's only executive producer, and in your Keel, he really produced the band.
Yeah, he did, and he also had some great recording engineers, Dave Whitman and Mikey Davis, who made those records sound great. And the sound of those records, the actual production. There's something special there, but it does sound very raw. I don't know that now, 40 years later, how well they have stood the test of time. But I can tell you this: we just did a movie deal for a film that is going to have the Right to Rock song in the movie, and we have a new version of the Right to Rock that we recorded with Ron Keel Band, which sounds fantastic. I mean, it's modern, big, but still raw and powerful, but modern production. The sound quality is incredible. The vocal is way better than the old Right to Rock vocal from 1985. And I was trying to get the movie people to use my version because, first of all, it sounds great. Second of all, I make more money if they use my version. But no, they just want the old version. They want the 1985 version. I could not sell them on my master because they want that magic raw power that the Right to Rock, the original version, has. That the new version's great, and I'm very proud of the vocal, very proud that I got a second chance to sing some of those songs again, like the Right to Rock, Because the Night, Somebody's Waiting, Tears of Fire, Here Today Gone Tomorrow, on the Keeled EP with Ron Keel Band, because I thought those songs and that singer deserved a second chance.
Mm-hmm. And do you know anything about why aren't the Final Frontier record and your other works on Spotify?
I don't own them.
It's because of the company, right?
Yeah, I don't own them. That's not my property. It's that's Universal Music. That
a lot
out of my control.
A lot of friends asking to ask you.
Yeah,
I get that question. I get that question every day, and I've even put a page on my website, ronkeel.com, to answer it. FAQ, frequently asked questions. It's one of those questions that I get asked hundreds of times every day. It's just not mine. I can't give it to you if I don't own it, and I don't own those records. Universal owns those records, and I don't. It's out of my control.
And coming back to Kiss, do you feel like Gene used a Kill song in a Kiss album?
No, did he?
There are a lot of songs that seems like the other works that he played, like the Black and Blue song with the Domino Kiss song.
Domino, nasty. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. But I don't recall. I mean, it's all rock and roll. You know, it's just a few chords. So you're gonna, especially now with hundreds of thousands of songs coming out all the time, there's no way you can tell if a song that I write today might sound just like a song somebody wrote that I've never even heard. There's only so many tools in the toolbox that we can go to, and we're all emulating our heroes. But I can tell you this story. This is pretty cool. When we were recording together with Gene, oftentimes we would sit around in the studio lounge and just talk and play guitar and work on songs, whatever. And he would sit and play me a classic song like The Who. People try to put us down, talking about my and stand up, you don't have to be afraid. Stand up, whatever. He would play me the song, and then he would play me the song he stole it from. I thought that was pretty cool. That's the only one I really remember. But and he told me this. I love this slide. He would tell me, he says, "Ron, only steal from the best." So if he did steal one of my songs, then I would be very flattered and honored.
He did the right thing. Steeler is pioneering band in the American heavy metal style.
It's a reference for many bands at the time.
And do you think it succeed as it should, or it should have been more successful?
Well, you know, the reports vary, where people will say it's a cult classic, or but at the time, that Steeler album was the biggest selling heavy metal independent album of all time. I made a fortune off that record. The president of the record company, Mike Varney, became a millionaire off of that record. So I don't know how successful you can gauge success on various levels, but for an independent album that only cost $3,000 to create, it exceeded all of our expectations, put my career on the map, got me my start in the business, and we're still selling albums. We just re-released the 40th anniversary vinyl, red vinyl edition of that Steeler album, sold out immediately when it was released just a few months ago. So I think it was very successful, and it certainly was a big help to my career, and it's a big part of that legendary 80s rock and metal history that had such a huge influence because of the combination of my songs and Yngwie's guitar playing, that raw street American rock and roll riffs with my screaming voice and his screaming guitar. I think it was a magical combination that a lot of people still love that record. So I'm very proud of it.
You were a Black Sabbath vocalist for a few times, and you still a Black Sabbath member, as you said. Just recording a few demos. How did this meeting happen, and what did it need for this partnership to move forward?
Well, I got the gig because I was recording the Keel demos at Pasha Studios in Hollywood. Now, Pasha was the place where Quiet Riot did their album Metal Health. So it was like holy ground in Hollywood because that was the first metal album to go #1 on the Billboard chart. So it really had a huge impact on the entire industry. And I was there in that studio recording the Keel demos when the owner of the studio and the producer of Quiet Riot's Metal Health, Spencer Proffer, heard my voice, and he had signed on to produce the next Black Sabbath album after Born Again. He was going to be the producer. So he really got me the gig. He got me the audition, got me the job. We had a signed contract, and it never materialized into an album or tour, but it's just still nice to be this Black Sabbath, man. That is the iconic heavy metal band of all time. To be mentioned in the same sentence is an honor for me. And a few years ago, I got to really put an exclamation point on that dream when I did a project called Emerald Sabbath with some other ex-Black Sabbath members, Vinny Appice and a whole long list of guys, Dave Walker, who sang with Black Sabbath. We all got together and recorded an album called Emerald Sabbath, and I got to sing 3 songs on that record, an Ozzy tune called Hole in the Sky, the Ronnie James Dio classic, From Heaven and Hell, Die Young, and an Ian Gillan song, Trashed. So I got to cover all 3 vocalists on that record, and with other guys like Rudy Sarzo on bass and Vinny Appice on drums. So for my new album, Keel World, as I mentioned, we have new Keel music, new Steeler music, new Ron Keel band music, and a brand new Black Sabbath cover of Children of the Grave, which also features Bobby Rondinelli on drums, who played with Sabbath, and Neil Murray on bass, who played with Sabbath. Oh. Now, Bobby and Neil both toured with Sabbath at the same time, but they never recorded together. So my new version of Children of the Grave is the first time that Bobby Rondinelli and Neil Murray have recorded Black Sabbath music together, and it's on my album, and I get to sing with those guys. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's so nice. At the 90s, what feeling did you have when you saw the music scene radically changing its style?
Oh, the 90s were a blast for me. The 90s were a blast. Are you kidding me? That's when I played country music. Mm-hmm. You know, that's when I played country music. Now the shock, if you can imagine, of being a rock star on top of the world, on MTV, on the cover of Circus Magazine, on touring the world with Bon Jovi, Aerosmith, Van Halen, Dio, and all of a sudden they take all that away from you. Now you have nothing. You have no record deal. You have no tour. You have no. All you have is a pile of bills. And I had a beach house and sports cars. I couldn't afford the lifestyle. I went through a very difficult. I know a lot of my friends and my peers in the business went through the same thing. One day we're the coolest guys on the planet, man. We're rock stars. The next day we're a joke. And it's very difficult and very tough. You hit the ground very hard after a shock like that. And I ended up, I sold the house, I sold the cars, I moved my family out of California, and I still was driven, as always, by the need to sing, to create, to write music, to write songs, to entertain people, to get on a stage and have fun and entertain people, and also to make a living. Because I'm not good at anything else. I can't get a real job. So I started writing these songs about not sex and girls and rock and roll and drugs. And I started writing songs about real life, about going through hardship and adversity and trouble and pain and still chasing women and drinking beer. That's what country music is all about, right? Chasing women and drinking beer. So there is a lot of common ground with metal and country music. And the songs that I was writing they felt good to me to be able to create. I just wanted to pour my heart out and write songs. And then country music in America at the time was huge. You had Garth Brooks and every roadhouse, honky tonk, saloon, bar, dance hall, they were all packed full of beautiful women and all the guys drinking beer, all the cowboys. I fit right in. I do believe that the cowboy lifestyle it's all about doing the right thing, being a good person, working hard. A cowboy's got to go through hell, and you got to go through hell with a smile and a beer and a pretty girl, right? So that is the cowboy part of me that enabled me to survive in the 90s and find a place where I could still make a living, create, write, entertain, and learn a new art form, because it really is a different type of art. Kind of like, there's a painting and there's a sculpture. Both are created by an artist, but it's two different art forms. Metal is an art form. Country is an art form. And so to master that new art form of country music, I had to really immerse myself in it. And it's not something that you can just fake. You have to be real. When you put on a cowboy hat and go out into a rodeo arena full of 10,000 cowboys and cowgirls, if you're not real, you got to be real. It's got to be from the heart. If you're not real, they will throw stuff at you. And then when you run up the stage, they will kill you. So you got to be real, man. So it's not something you can fake. That cowboy attitude, that work hard, party hard, put a smile on your face and get through the tough times. That's the cowboy attitude. But I still love the energy and the power of metal. I love the fact that I've been able to combine the cowboy and the metal into one place where I am comfortable, and I can sing songs that tell stories, songs about real life and how I feel, with pounding thunderous drums and screaming guitars and screaming vocals and sweat and all that. So we combine the two of them and we call it cowboy metal.
So you create a new genre of country music. That's so nice.
Yeah, well, I know I'm not. It's been difficult, obviously confusing for some of the fans, because the fans don't understand. The country music fans are totally cool with it. Country music fans love classic rock and metal, but the metal fans don't like country music. There seems to be not acceptance of what I've done, and don't really understand who I am or what I do. But when they see it and they hear it, I think it resonates. It strikes a note in the heart of everyone that hears it with these songs, and the songs that I'm going to play when I come to Sao Paulo in May 16th and 17th for the first shows ever in Brazil. I'm going to take you and the fans on a journey through this entire story. You're going to hear music from the beginning, from Steeler to Keel to Ron Keel Band, and everything from the beginning to the end. I'm going to put it all into one show and give the fans everything I've got.
Your true self, it's what makes us like you.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
And saying about you're touring Brazil, what's your expectations for the 2 dates in São Paulo? Have another more to do in South America, or only 2 in São Paulo?
It started because I have a show in Bogota, Colombia, and I didn't look at the map. So I didn't know South America, Central America, Latin America. That's very big place.
Very big.
And I thought, well, we're going to Bogota, right? Let's just go to Brazil while we're there, right? I didn't realize it's it's very far away. And I talked to Carlos, and he put me in touch with Rodrigo Scelza, the promoter in Sao Paulo, and they are gracious enough to invite me to Brazil for these 2 shows. And it's both sides of my passion I can show at these 2 shows, because the first night, May 16th at the Malta Rock Bar, is an intimate acoustic show with songs from my entire career. And I'll tell stories and hope that the language barrier doesn't interfere too much, because I love to tell the stories behind the songs and how the inspiration and why I recorded them or why I'm singing them to you. And then the following night, we're going to rock out with a great band. I'm bringing my guitar player, Dave D.C. Cawthorn from Ron Keel Band. He goes everywhere with me.
Yeah.
And also we have some amazing Brazilian musicians that are going to be joining me on stage for the full band show. Bento Melo, bass extraordinaire. And I hear Bento is the girls' favorite. All the girls love Bento.
Well.
And Bruno Luis, the guitar shred master, and Gabriel Haddad, the drummer of Doom. These guys are going to be joining me. We're already talking online. I'm going to come to Sao Paulo a couple days early for rehearsals with these guys. We're going to do a VIP meet and greet at Animal Records with Carlos Chiaroni and his VIP customers. Then we're going to do the acoustic show, then the full band show. And I promise the fans, after every show, I will leave the stage and I will be right there at the table with the fans till I want to shake every hand. I want to get the hugs. I want to take pictures, sign autographs, whatever the fans want. I'm there for you.
Leandro, we must go there. We need to go there now. Now we are from Curitiba, that it's like the other state, and it's like 6 hours from here, like by bus.
No, I know that Rodrigo Skelton tried to put a show together in Curitiba, and we were not able to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I heard about it, but damn, I must go now. I need to go now.
But
I need to hug Ron Keel.
We will try to get there.
6 hours is not for us. A 6-hour drive, that's a piece of cake. We do that every day.
And still 90s related, you had a band called Ron Keel's Fair Game, which 2 of its songs were used in the Bad Channels movie soundtrack in 1992. What do you think of this project, and would you do something similar nowadays?
Man, I thought that project was great. It was after Keel, and I didn't want to repeat Keel or put another bunch of long-haired guys together and call it Keel. And Gene Simmons even told me this. He said, Ron, every band you're ever in, you should call it Keel. It's your name. And Gene still tells me to this day, just call it Keel. But I've never done that. I didn't want to repeat Keel. I wanted something new, something different that had never been done before. And I had been working with Bixen on their Rev It Up album. I wrote the title track to their album, Rev It Up. And I worked with those girls. I worked with Joan Jett, played on the Final Frontier record. Lita Ford has always been a good friend of mine. So I love the female rockers. Who doesn't, right, Leandro? We love the female rockers. So I thought it would be cool if I could find a band like that and put together a kick-ass female backing band behind me. And it was a great project. The power, the passion, I had learned a lot in my experiences with Keel and Steeler, and I used all that experience with Fair Game to create a great product and a great project, a great collection of songs. But at the time, in the 90s, as we know now, the time had passed, and grunge and Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all that really just took over the mainstream, along with country music, with Garth Brooks and all the country guys and girls. So the project never got fully exploited as it should. I'm very proud of that project, of that record. And I'm still in touch with the girls in the band. And we had talked about doing a new Fair Game song for the Keel World album, but it's not going to happen. It was just too difficult to make that happen. But they're a great memory and a great project that I'm still very proud of.
Oh, great. And how do you feel about the fan base support you are having after all this time?
I'm extremely fortunate and very grateful, but it is difficult. I think it's a combination of continuing to show the old school fans that have been with me for 40 years or more, show them that I haven't lost the right to rock. I'm still fighting, and I'm still pushing, and I'm still working very hard for them, while also meeting and making new fans. We have a lot of young people that really love Ron Keel Band and the stuff we've done the last 10 years. They weren't even born in the 80s. You weren't born in the 80s either.
Yeah.
I was born in 2005.
Oh my goodness gracious. Wow.
I mean,
So, it's a combination. Sometimes the parents will take the kids to concerts and play their music for them because, let's face it, hard rock and metal and rock and roll in general, it's the music of the young. It's the music of the wild and the young and that spirit that we always have. And no matter how old we may get or however old I may get, I'm not going to lose that spirit. That's a part of me. It's part of who I am. I have never subtracted anything. I've never lost or taken in anything. I've just added to what Ron Keel is. We add these different elements, these different experiences and different influences as we grow and mature, but you can't ever lose that wild young spirit. So we have so many fans now that are your age that weren't even alive. But I guarantee you, when you get on stage in front of any audience, and it doesn't matter who they are, when you do the Right to Rock, they're all going to put their fist in the air and they're going to sing along with you because that song really resonates. I try and continue to create songs like that make people feel that way. And those songs resonate with an audience, no matter if you've heard of Keel or not. In fact, Ron Keel Band does a lot of these big motorcycle festivals in the U.S. The Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. And we will play for 5, 8, 10,000 people at a time. And a lot of them, I know, they don't know who Ron Keel is. They don't know about my history or Black Sabbath or Steeler or Keel. They just know they're enjoying what they're seeing and hearing. They like it, and it entertains them. And I think you have to continually win new fans and keep the old fans happy as well. Like my new album, Keel World, I know that it's going to be difficult to swallow for a lot of people because it is very diverse. It has Steeler, Keel, Ron Keel Band, Black Sabbath, and Ronnie Lee Keel. There's country music on this new album as well. It is everything. It is all flavors. Every item on the menu is chicken, steak, pizza, ice cream. It's all there. So it is who I am. And it's a statement about who I've become over the last 45 years in this business. And I know that a lot of the fans, you're going to have a country song right next to a Black Sabbath track on the record. I mean, and either you can listen to it if you choose, or you can fast forward to the next song if you want to. But this is who I am, and this is what I'm going to do.
And by the time of your career, I think that you must do something that you are comfortable with. You must do what you want to do. It's not time to waste anything, left anything behind.
That's correct. And I have learned that the hard way, because I realized many years ago that if you sell 3 million albums, and I did,
Great.
3 million, that's pretty cool. But that means there are billions of people who don't like you or don't want it. So you have to keep that in perspective. You can't please everybody. There's no way you're going to please everybody. And they're not all going to understand me. They're not all going to enjoy me. That's okay. I'm going to sing for myself and write songs for myself and share it with anybody who might be open to the possibility of enjoying what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Saying about the particularity, I have a particular question for you.
Yeah.
We're going to the last questions, but the self-titled album, The Keel, I Love, was the best album for me. It was produced by Michael Wagner, of course, but anybody say too much about that record? We know that commercially that not did so well, but was the recording process, the production?
No, the recording, the entire process of that 1987 self-titled album with United Nations, I Said the Wrong Thing to the Right Girl, Cherry Lane, Calm Before the Storm, Somebody's Waiting. The entire process was perfect because we finally had a producer who, and Michael Wagner is legendary. And what he does with the studio techniques and sounds and producing was amazing. And we had our best collection of songs. We had been on tour all over the world for 8 months. We came in hot to the studio and we were ready. And I think the results, as you say, it's your favorite album. It was not successful for a couple of reasons. First of all, the choice of the single, the first single, Somebody's Waiting. And second of all, there was never a second single. There was only Somebody's Waiting, and then they just stopped. They just pulled the plug. And second of all, I remember going into the record stores. We would do the in-store appearances. Every town we would visit, you go to the record store and they have a wall of albums, that self-titled albums. There's a whole wall behind us, hundreds of albums. And the fans, thousands of fans waiting in line to meet us and to get an autograph. And the fans would come up with a napkin or a piece of paper and say, "Will you sign my autograph?" I go, "Man, why don't you buy the album? We'll sign your album." But no, I don't want that album. I already have the right to rock. All right. I signed the napkin. It's very tough to sell your third or fourth album without the help of those additional singles and videos. We toured with Bon Jovi on that album, but we did 14 shows on the Northeast U.S., New York, Madison Square Garden, and some big shows. Mm-hmm. So we saw some sales from that tour, but it just wasn't enough. And to this day, many people feel like the same way that you feel, that finally Keel had found their identity, and we had the best producer and the best collection of songs, and nobody wanted it. That, like I said, that's out of my control, man. I can't force people to enjoy it or buy it, but to this day, many people like yourself feel it's their favorite.
And we were talking about the opening shows. And what was your favorite artist to tour with?
That's a great question. My favorite tour was Japan when we were the headliner. So, the opening act thing is cool. It's great to be able to open for your heroes. Van Halen, Aerosmith, Dio, Bon Jovi, and many more. But my favorite tour was when we were headlining Japan. The entire tour was sold out, and we had the big stage and the production and the 2-hour show and no restrictions. But the Bon Jovi tour has to be right up there because I'm a big Bon Jovi fan. I was and still am. And that was Slippery When Wet when they were at their peak, and we were playing sold out arenas. Like Madison Square Garden, 3 nights, not just one night at Madison Square Garden. We played 3 nights in a row at Madison Square Garden, which as a kid growing up wanting to be a rock star, that's the holy grail. That's sacred ground. That's where you want to be. So that was a dream come true to be a part of that tour. Dio, the entire European tour for Sacred Heart. I think we did 14 countries throughout Europe with Ronnie James Dio. And those were the kind of shows where, after we're finished, I would just go out in the audience and just enjoy the show. I just watch Ronnie, I just watch Ronnie Dio, and to be able to become friends with him and learn from him and enjoy his show every night, for weeks on end. That was a great experience. Of course, opening for Van Halen at the Texas Jam in front of 86,000 people, a huge stadium gig. That's pretty cool. And obviously, as a kid growing up, Van Halen was everything. Kiss, Van Halen, Black Sabbath. And I got to actually work with or cross paths with or become friends with so many of my heroes, like, Kiss, Van Halen, Ronnie James Dio, Black Sabbath. A lot of dreams come true, and I'm very thankful for all those experiences.
Yeah, I might say the same thing because I'm talking with Ron Keel. I am feeling exactly the same way. I'm trying to contain myself with it. But Leandro, are we going to finish now?
Yeah, I would like to talk with you more 2-3 hours.
Yeah,
but we didn't. But what was the 3 albums from all time for you?
I could tell you Meatloaf. Bat Out of Hell 3, not the first one. The first one has got to be, I think, both the third Bat Out of Hell album and the first Meatloaf album. Just absolute classics with Jim Steinman songs. It's just amazing for me. I love those Meatloaf albums. And also the movie soundtrack to Eddie and the Cruisers. You know that movie?
No,
Eddie and the Cruisers?
I didn't remember. No.
All right. Well, I like Judas Priest, Hell Bent for Leather. How about that? That's a good one. That's certainly an all-time favorite. So many albums. Kiss Alive. So many albums that have had such a big impact on me, and that certain artists that I will buy everything they do. Judas Priest is one of those artists that since Stained Class. I think it was 1978.
Stained Class. Great.
I think I've bought every Judas Priest album since Stained Class the day it was released. I'm even a big fan of some of the stuff that was not successful or critically successful, like Nostradamus, the concept album that Judas Priest released. I love that record. It's great when you get on an airplane to listen to the whole album from start to finish in the headphones. I do like my albums. You know, I have several records that I've done that they're my personal favorites. That's why I make that music, so I can listen to it and enjoy it myself, because I can't guarantee that anyone else will enjoy it or listen to it. My favorite Keel album is Streets of Rock and Roll. I don't know if you have that one or not.
Yeah,
that to me was a huge, just a very fulfilling and satisfying moment, because we had took 20 years off, and we decided to get back together for the 25th anniversary in 2008, 2009. We put the band back together for many shows. We did a European tour. We went to Europe a couple of times, did all the big festivals in the U.S., Monsters of Rock Cruise and M3, and a lot of major festivals and show dates, and created that album really by accident, because we didn't intend on making new music. We were just getting back together to celebrate our history with our fans and with each other as a brotherhood. We didn't intend on making new music. And all of a sudden there's a couple of songs at rehearsal that started happening. And we realized, man, we've got lightning in a bottle here. There's something really special happening. So we ended up making the commitment to do another Keel album in the spirit of the 80s. It's got to be Keel music. It's got to have those twin guitar solos. It's got to have the big anthem chorus and the message and the spirit of Keel. So that one is certainly one of my all-time favorites. No, I shouldn't talk about my records because you asked about others, but so many great albums that I love to listen to, and that still, I like the new music too, man. You know, I host a radio show of my own, Streets of Rock and Roll, and so therefore it kind of forces me to always listen to new music, the new artists, the new bands, the new songs, whether it's the latest from our classic rock heroes or the new wave of up-and-coming hard rock and metal bands. I enjoy listening to a lot of the new music, and we play a lot of that on my radio show.
Mm-hmm. And is it programs are recorded and we can access it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You go to the Ron Keel website, ronkeel.com, and there's a list of stations that play the show all week long, every day on different stations. And I thought we had a station in Brazil as well. I'm not sure, but we're on the radio every day somewhere all over the world. And you can find that on my website, ronkeel.com.
I'm going to take a look. So, Ron, thank you so much with this interview. Thank you so much for your patience and for your all heartwarming stories. And for everybody that is watching right now, access the Ron Keel's website for all the information, and the Alma Hard canal links that we are going to be down below, and my Instagram that is major.countdown. And thank you so much again.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work.
See you soon.
Wait. I want to get a screenshot.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah. Wait. I have to smile too. Hold on. I want to smile. There we go. Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you too.
My pleasure. Thank you. Take care. Keep rocking.